the end of the day, either you could have all the training, and God uses that too, all of the education, all of the training, all of the to-do lists, all of the projects. God will still use that, but at the end of the day, the theme is still the same. He's got to be the one to touch it. He's got to be the one to grow it. And that can't change in any situation, regardless of what your personality is or background that you come from. At the end of the day, we all fall at the face of the Lord and say, it's still yours.
You're listening to the Big Ideas Podcast with Ashlee Ilg. Tune in for honest conversations as we pursue bold dreams, redefine what is possible, and empower the next generation to live big. You'll hear stories that prove over and over again that just because something wasn't a part of our plan doesn't mean it won't be used for our good. Whether you're already an entrepreneur, you dream of becoming one, or you're raising the next generation of entrepreneurs, this podcast is for you. There's no time to waste on your big ideas. So let's get started. Here's your host, Ashlee Ilg.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Big Ideas Podcast with Ashlee Ilg. I am just so loving this season. I think getting so much feedback that y'all are too, so I just love that. But we are just going to keep it rolling with more stories of God showing up when we thought we had this perfect plan laid out, and how he just has this reputation of doing things really big and really awesome, better than we could have ever imagined. And I'm so excited for today's episode. I am actually in our studio with Beth Tanner, dear friend of mine, who is no stranger to seeing God show up really big in your life. And so we're going to just have a conversation about, what it means to just lay down your plans, sit with your hands wide open and ask God, not just what are you doing, but what are you doing? And what does that mean for me and my family and all of that? And so Beth and I have done life together for many years now. We both have kids the same age. We've gone through a lot of seasons with homeschooling and just, like I said, life. And so I know this conversation is going to just bless y'all and just bring so many lies, I think, to the table of just let's just throw this out the window. This mindset, let's just also throw that out the window, because that's also not true. And I couldn't think of a better person to just come and let's just flip everything upside down and tell it like it really is than you. So
it'll be different.
It's going to be good. Welcome to the show officially.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes. So we're going to get all into Beth's family and just stories that are so rich with all of that. But your most recent project that I really want to get into is a business that you and your friend Jamie started. Yeah. What has it been, a couple of years now?
About 2. We're about to cross over 2 years. Yeah. So baby, it's so new. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. And the company is Whimsy Gals, and there's multiple products that are kind of under that whole umbrella.
It has been such a journey, never did we ever imagine.
Yeah. Which is really what I want to get into. And so for everybody listening who thinks, there's this myth that businesses, or if you want to start a business, you must have this business experience, you must have this hustle hard, boss babe personality, background, some sort of coaching or somebody in your life that's just, guiding you, some grand strategy and this full out, official business plan. And I would just love for you to just kind of demystify what, from your perspective, what does it mean to start a business? What did that look like for you and the heart behind it all?
Yeah, well, it started as a conversation. Never, I was telling you, I've told you so many times, if God had told me this is what you're going to do in your future, I would have said no. In fact, I feel like that's a theme in my life consistently. Yeah. Beth, you're going to, or I would like you to, or I'm going to hand you this to plant. And I'm not that. No, I'm not prepared. I can't do that. I don't have the background. I don't have the education. And yet the Lord just graciously and gently pulls me along the way. So it started with a conversation with Jamie. We've always, we're best friends. We've been best friends for almost 20 years now. So we dream of, what if we could work together? What if we could, but we've also always wanted to be focused on staying home and being present for our kids' lives. We didn't want to miss that. Yeah. And then our husbands work really, really hard. They work I mean, Kevin works almost 60 hours a week. Her husband's working all the time. And so we were like, man, what if we could do something that would bless our families and relieve some of that for our husband? And so when you have the septic go out, you're not looking at your bank account going, how are we going to pay for that? What if we could bless the family? So that was always just kind of a background conversation that we would always dream, but we also didn't want to work outside the home. So what are your options, really? And I was also homeschooling 4 boys. So you're like, Lord, what are we going to do? And so one day we were just chatting, and somebody had mentioned selling products on Amazon and how it's easy.
Yeah.
I think that's the first myth.
That should be a red flag. Also, if somebody tells you it's easy.
Yeah. But I also think that was a bit of God's protection, because
Right.
if you knew all the steps that we're going to take and all the things that you were going to have to deal with, now knowing that, I think if I had known that when sitting on the porch dreaming, we would have said, no,
100%.
that's scary. I don't want to do that. So we were like, well, what if we could sell a product on Amazon? And y'all, when you start searching out a product on Amazon, Amazon is flooded. It is flooded with products. You can find anything on Amazon. So the first thing they tell you when you're going to build a business on Amazon is to find a product that is not saturated, that you could have a market in, that you could be competitive in, that there's a lot. You don't want to be the only one, because then no one's searching it, but you also don't want to be with thousands, right? Like, if you're going to sell a mug, what mug is going to set yours apart? And that's hard. So really, you would think we did all this research for years and years trying to find a product. Nope, we're sitting on the porch and we're like, that would be fun. Jamie's like, what I really want is a pair of tangle-free sunglasses. And I was like, oh, does that exist? And she's like, yeah, I want aviators. I'm going to a wedding. And I looked on Amazon, and there's only like name brand expensive ones. And that's outside my mom budget, because you never know what you're getting. Like, we weren't working, so our budgets were small. She's like, I just want something that's cute and stylish, but that's not expensive. So I'm like, well, let's just look. And literally, it was like from that moment to the point where we were finding samples was all of maybe 3 months.
Wow.
Which is all God. Because again, we were just kind of wrapped up in our own world. We weren't going to classes. We weren't listening to podcasts. We were just kind of, we heard this idea, and then we just started kind of, well, what do we do? Well, you go here and you find samples. Okay. So Kevin and her husband, Brian, were like, go for it. You have to have seed money. You can't do anything out of nothing. Right. So there was a bit of an investment of our families coming together and saying what we would be willing to put in. And we weren't willing to risk everything. So it had to be small. So we had to be strategic. So we just started finding samples, and we went through, I have a whole box if anybody ever wants just like really crappy sunglasses, a whole box of them. But we just went through sunglass after sunglass after sunglass. And that's where, too, I think there's such a balance between doing something in faith and stepping out, but also just having fun and being like, let's just try something and know every step of the way, Lord, if you don't want this, close the door. And so every step, it was like, not difficult. Every step was just one more step. Okay, you take this step, you get samples. We didn't like those, get another one. So actually, the sunglasses we found were never in a catalog or anything. This late, we started working with a manufacturer, and she was like, hey, I'm sending you samples. I also found this pair, maybe you would like. And she threw them in the box with 8 other pairs of sunglasses. We found 2 that we liked, 2 pairs that we were like, these are great. The first pair was with a different manufacturer. The second pair was the one where the girl was like, we're just going to throw them in. So the first pair we got first, and we were like, yeah, they're okay. We called them Retro Brow. It was a total tank. Failed. And those were the first pair we put out. We put those out, and they weren't selling. And we could have stopped right then. We could have been like, bummer, we tried. It didn't work. But instead, we had the second pair come in, and we fell in love with them. We were like, these are kind of amazing. Like, they were exactly what we wanted. So we were like, let's try it. So we bought 300. And we put them on Amazon. And the first year was challenging. Like, you have to have the right pictures, and you can't, Amazon's really, that's a whole different story. Like, Amazon is it's like a wild west. And Amazon, there's a lot. Yeah, it's like, and you can find, it's the whole thing. So that's a whole different story. But anyway, we ended up putting the second pair out. And so for the first year, we pushed. We did social media. We did ads. We did giveaways. We did everything we could. And we were selling like maybe 1 a day. And we thought, It's not working. So then we came to a point on our journey. It was literally it was like right after Christmas. So Jamie came to me and we were doing everything social media, like building social media platform, trying to build this business, putting ourselves out there. I am not a model. Like God was asking me to do things. I'm like, I'm going to take pictures of myself. Like that is, if you know me, that's just not really who I am. I'm just not, so we were just really stepping outside of our comfort zone. We did that for a year. So come January, Jamie calls me and she says, Beth, God told me to give up social media. And I'm in my mind thinking, one, I love her and I trust her, right? So I'm not going to challenge that. If that is something that the Lord has challenged her, and that's a unique relationship that we have as best friends, I was not going to challenge that. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how are we going to run a business without social media? Like anybody in social media, I mean, anybody running a business will tell you social media is like kind of the platform you have to use. I mean, that's how you get to the masses. So I'm like, or at least the start, right? Yeah. So I'm like, oh man, Jamie, okay, no problem. Let's just do that. And so I said, Jamie, I just feel like we just have to give this up to the Lord because we've been pushing for a year and we're barely selling. The retro bow we ended up taking off because it was such a tank. We just called that a loss. The classics that we are selling now, we were like, we had so many to sell. And I thought we had bought actually another round because we thought we were going to make it work. And I just said, okay, Lord, like you gave us these seeds and you gave us this land to plant on. And you told us to prepare the land and you told us to plant these seeds. Out of every discomfort in my bone to build a business, we did it. We did it in faith. And now you're asking me to step away from it and you're asking me to let go of it. And I tell Jamie all the time, I'm like, in the midst of when we were pushing the social media and we were pushing that like journey, I felt like we were doing rain dances, like trying to get that stuff to grow. I mean, we're like, maybe if we put umbrellas over it, maybe if we put the right wind. And really and truly, when you plant, anybody knows when you plant a seed, you beyond watering it and taking care of it and making sure it doesn't have weeds, you cannot force that seed to grow. You can't. There is literally nothing in your physical. You can beg it. You can plead with it. You can pray over it. You can cry to Lord. But beyond that, you have to let go and say, it's either going to come up and it's going to grow or it's not. And you have to trust that that was all part of the journey too. Yeah. So that's kind of where we were at. So I just had peace about it. I said, let's stop everything. We're going to stop our ads. We're going to stop social media. We're going to stop running ads on Amazon because that was another thing costing a lot of money. And we weren't making enough to justify the money we were spending. So I said, let's just quit. We're just going to stop it all. And we walked away. And it was literally maybe 2 weeks later, our sales rose. Wow. Without us doing a thing. We weren't spending any money. Yeah. Nothing. There was no explanation behind it other than God said, thank you for letting go because it is not of you that I'm going to do this. It's of me. You did the work that I asked you to do. I'm going to make it grow. Yeah. And that was literally a life-changing pivotal moment. You would think we've learned that lesson because I've seen that in my kids. I'm going to pray over my kids to have this. They've struggled or I want so desperately. And it's as a parent, what do you have to do? Open-handed. I have to let you go. This is your journey just as much as it is mine as a parent. God has a bigger plan for you. So it's funny that you learn those, like, those things. You can see that throughout your life, right? We all talk about that. Hands open, let go. It was like time after time, God just waits patiently. When are you going to let go?
I know. Oh, so good.
So that's really what we did. And in this last season, it's literally blown us out of the water. I mean, and we're still doing nothing. I mean, not nothing. Obviously, we are showing up every day and we're making sure things are running. And I mean, there's all that part of it. But as far as the pushing and the begging and the pleading, we've really kind of let that go. And that's when the Lord has just shown up and been like, now I can do the work, which has been incredible. I mean, it's been amazing because it has shown me over and over again, and Jamie, one, we are gifted and we do have talents beyond what we thought we could. I think that's another thing that Whimsy Gals has taught both of us is we didn't think we could be owners of a business. Actually, we're really capable of a lot of things. And it's because God's designed us that way, and you don't have to know everything to do something. You can take each step slowly and learn as you go. We've learned a lot. I mean, having a product fail as bad as that feels, and that wasn't a great, awesome thing, that was an investment we made that didn't produce anything, it still was a lesson learned. It wasn't like it was at loss, you know. We learned a lot through that. So I'm thankful for that. And now we know what is success and what isn't. You kind of like, we couldn't have made that one work, but this one did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's so good.
yeah, it's been amazing.
And I didn't know that story, so that I love getting to hear it first.
Very organic.
It's so good. Hey friend, I wanted to take a quick pause to ask if you've taken the quiz yet to find out what type of dreamer are you. It's super important to discover what's working for you, but also some things that may be keeping you from really pursuing your greatest purpose. It takes just 2 minutes to find out if you're the skimboarder, the sunbather, the sandcastle builder, or the surfer babe. So jump over to dreamerquiz.com and be sure to share your results and tag me in it. Now back to the show. And, you know, I think one of the things that I love about yours and my dynamic, and this is not a surprise, but your story is so like healing and freeing to me, because you know this about me, where I mean, just you in general in my life is so freeing and healing to me, because, you know, it comes much more naturally for me to say, I'm trying not to throw myself completely under the bus here.
No, because it's different gifts, right?
Different gifts. And I get so hyped about new ideas and I mean, the podcast is the Big Ideas podcast. Like, it's like, I just get like, God just gave me this to do, and I've got 80 things to do today, and I'm going to crush it, and it's going to be such a good day. Not every day. I'm not going to like say I don't have days where I'm just like, I quit everything. What am I thinking?
This is too
There's
hard.
also a lot of that, which is, you know,
Yeah.
why I'm writing a book. But you in my life is so good, because you are constantly this reminder of like, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to know all the
Yeah.
things. You don't have to show up with pom-poms and exclamation marks all the time. But God is still bigger than all of it. So
Yeah.
whether you're questioning if you can do it, whether you're overthinking that you actually could do it all,
Yeah.
either way, God will find you and get a hold of that striving or that self-doubt or
That's so
that lack of confidence or that overconfident in something beyond yourself, and just bring you to the point of, like the word says, like you brought up, you can do the planting and you can do the watering, but only God can make it grow.
Yeah.
And when we get to that point, no matter what side of the ditch we
It's
started
so
in,
true. Yeah.
you and me over the years have both found ourselves back to this center truth of, oh my gosh, God is so good. He met me again, and he reminded me one more time. And I just wonder how many times he's looking, like you were saying, you know, like, oh my gosh, you're more capable. I've given you more capacity than you realize. Or me, oh my gosh, you don't have to be the one to do all the things.
Oh, it's so true.
Right?
Yeah, it's still the same thing, but God.
Yes.
At the end of the day, either you could have all the training, and God uses that too, all of the education, all of the training, all of the to-do list, all of the projects. God will still use that, but at the end of the day, the theme is still the same. He's got to be the one to touch it. He's got to be the one to grow it. And that can't change in any situation, regardless of what your personality is or background that you come from. At the end of the day, we all fall at the face of the Lord and say, it's still yours.
It's still yours.
All
if
of
it's
it.
going to last, it's
Yes.
got to be yours.
It's got to be on
If
the
it's-
foundation of Him.
Yeah. And if it's going to multiply, and if it's going to reach other people, and if it's going to be beyond what I could even imagine or see, or teach me the fruit that I didn't even know would come through a failure. Success is always on the other side of failure, side note.
Yeah.
But there's always fruit when we give it to God and we
Yeah.
let Him reframe whatever we thought it was supposed to look like.
Well, so that's what's really cool.
Yeah.
Is because so then what happened within Whimsy Gals is we designed this company and thought we were going to sell a product on Amazon. That was the end all. That was the dream. That was the goal. But then it was like in that framework, God was like, actually, we're going to actually go this way and pivot. And the way He pivoted was Jamie and I had designed and written books for our kids way back when, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And we've had tried at one point to share them, and the Lord had just said, not now, because our kids were little and we didn't want to miss what we were doing with our kids, with the books that we had written and the stories we had written. So during all this time, whenever the first product failed and we stepped away from kind of pushing that direction, I kind of came to the table and I was like, Jamie, all those stories we've written, like, what do you think about like putting those out there? Because it's still an Amazon. We could do it with Amazon, and we now have this business. We have an LLC. Like we could promote our books now. And so she was like, well, yeah, why not? Because she was doing all the Canva stuff, so she had kind of gotten familiar with that. So that was the next part of our story, is that the selling on Amazon was just the beginning of the unfolding that God had really in store for us. But it's how the puzzle pieces come together. It's like he gives you all these puzzle pieces and you think you know what the picture is going to be. Right. You start putting those puzzle pieces together, and there's always that one puzzle piece that you're like, I know it's supposed to fit there, Lord. It's supposed to fit there. And he's like, it's actually not. It's meant for another part of the picture. It has the same colorings. It has the same theme, but it doesn't fit where you think it's going to go. It's going to fit on the different,
And it changes the whole picture.
And so now, I don't know, you know this with running a business, every day comes with new challenges, right? So everybody right now is facing new challenges with tariffs and just the economy. And so we don't know how long we're going to be on Amazon. Amazon changes daily. Amazon changes daily. So we're like, this is a season, but the books is our kingdom work. Not that what we're doing with the sunglasses, and we pray over every sunglass that goes out, not that we think diminishing what God's doing in that.
No, I understand.
But the books, well, you're right. It's like the passion. It's like the thing that burns in your soul that you're like, God's like, I have a story to tell and I need to get it out. And this is the way we're getting out. It's through children's books. And that has been where I'm like, it's all leading up to it, like the foundation of it. And that's where I think the Lord's like, see, when you let go and you give me control, then I can really show you where my dreams are for you and my passion, like his passion's flowing through us. So when we write the books, it is like, there's a different type of success. It's not we sold something. It's man, we're changed. Like kids are starting to see Jesus in a different way.
There's an eternal impact.
Yes.
Now.
That kingdom building.
Yeah.
So that has been, I think that's where we see our real, like, kind of like our forever, not for, because you still, even with that, you're open-handed, but I think for us, we kind of see our books as like this, like he's given us idea after idea. It's just like the floodgates open when we go to talk about our books. And then, so it's almost like now we're just like, this is the passion project that we are so excited about, because we kind of see it as a wide open, like, I don't know, no end date or no, and it's relaxing. It's amazing. It's just fun. It's been, that part of it has been the most amazing fun, like crazy fun.
Yeah. And I mean, talk about full circle, because when you were first writing those books, your kids were little and you were writing them really to read to them first. And now talk about how your kids are involved with the business.
Oh, that's been so amazing, right? Like the kids, that's the other thing. We never wanted to do something separate from our family. We wanted to bring our family in. But how do you do that? You don't. So each one of our kids have literally been a part. So Charlotte is 18. That's Jamie's daughter, or 17. She's going to graduate in a year. She does all of our marketing, like Owen, the behind the scenes. And we couldn't do it without them.
Right.
And then they're learning and their gifts are unfolding and they're realizing their potential, all because we said yes to something. So each kid is found, but our books have been really cool because the kids are like, man, these are they're like so excited about seeing them come to light, because they grew up on those stories and now they're seeing them in the hands of other kids. So that's been a really amazing, like, full circle, like incredible thing. So the kids have been a huge, literally could not do it without our kids and our husbands. Our whole families are involved. I could list every kid and tell you exactly what they're doing and how they're investing into our business, not because they have to, because they get to and because they want to.
Yeah, they want to be a part of it. It's like the coolest dynamic. And I'll make sure that we include links for your Whimsy or the Whims sunglasses and your books. So everybody can.
The animals or Secrets from the Stable. It depends. Like we have all different ones. We do Easter, Christmas. They're really amazing. They're interactive. that's been an incredible, that's been really fun.
Well, Hannah still has her Gabe book.
Gabe.
That I thought was just going to be part of our Easter collection that kind of comes down seasonally from the attic. And no, Gabe does not ever go up to the attic. Gabe stays around year round. It's like her favorite story to read all the time. She's got a little special spot for it. So yes, the books are amazing. The illustrations are just precious.
I know.
The words are just, it speaks to kids in such a profound way that it just connects and resonates. And
I think it's really cool because neither Jamie and I would have ever even said that we would be authors or that we would be illustrators. And the unfolding of those gifts too, we each have found our lanes. We don't do the same things. We do different things. And we've been able to find our gifts inside of that too, that complement each other, that don't compete. She's good at some things that I'm not good at. And I'm good at things like, do not put me on Canva. It's a terrible journey for me. I would just rather throw the computer outside the window. But I do all the Amazon stuff and she hates it. So it's been really cool too to find a partner that works beautifully together, hand in hand. That's not a competition, that we encourage each other's differences and we encourage each other's gifts and we unlock them for each other. So that's been, we talk about that, like you don't have to have it all figured out and you don't have to know to still do.
yeah.
It'll come. Yeah. You learn as you go. I was asking y'all about the setup. You're like, every episode we learn something new.
Yeah, we learn what didn't work or what we like. Yeah. So let's. I don't know the answer to this question, which I didn't know the answer to the other one really either. But I really have no idea how you're going to answer this one. But have you thought about like why God called you to start Whimsy Gals in this season that you're in now? Because you still have four boys. They all live at home. They're in the teenage and like preteen years. It is not slowing down. You still manage to find rest and ways to restore and all of it. You have to find rest. I know, and everybody does. But have you? Why do you think God called you to this in this season?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that actually. Jamie and I've talked a lot about that. Her kids Will is 14, and then Charlotte, like she has one more year with Charlotte, and we both asked ourselves that. I think we really realized in the last 2 years because we needed purpose outside of our kids. I am fully focused on my kids. My kids are my dreams, they're my passions, but I don't ever want to hold them back out of fear of what's the next season going to be like. I knew I didn't really have I would tell Kevin a lot of times. In fact, I'd cry about it. I'm like, what am I going to do when they all grow up? Like, where am I going to go? I'm going to be so bored. And a lot of people are like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a job, or I'm going to go back to work, or I'm going to go back to school. None of that interests me. None of it. I was like, I guess I'll just be here for you, Kev. I'll just cook us dinners. And, he was so patient and kind with me. But over the course of the 2 years, I've realized I have passions and I have things that excite me and I have goals. And I think the Lord is unfolding that so that I can let my kids go with joy and excitement and really send them into the world, because I got something I'm excited for too. Yeah. And I only think this is the beginning. And I think we're doing it slow and steady, but I think the unfolding of it, I think we're going to do even more as they one by one leave the house and my freedom gets even more freed up. I think we see ourselves as maybe, reading books to kids one day in a library, like traveling together as couples, exploring the things that I've always put on the back burner because my kids were home. Yeah. So I think the Lord has unlocked a passion in me to be like, your purpose was your kids, but that's not the end all. You're going to have something else that I have for you to do. And so that's given me an excitement that I didn't have 2 years ago when I was in the midst of that. I feared letting go of my kids and I feared what my days would be filled with. And I still have, as parents, we struggle with the tension of raising them to leave. We want them to leave, but also don't go too far.
Not too far, not yet.
Yeah, you can stay home if you need, but also wanting them to be brave and confident and not worry, what's my poor mom gonna do?
Well, I mean, you literally said it. Your willingness to step out and go find a purpose or a passion beyond them. Yeah. Not instead of them, no, but in addition to it, you're giving them freedom. You're giving them permission to leave guilt-free, worry-free,
Yeah.
just free
Yeah.
to go pursue what God is calling them to, because now they're seeing your example and they're like, oh, this is what that looks like. And by you being brave and you being courageous and you being willing to see what God's going to plant or grow, when you plant, they're automatically going to just know, like, well, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do the same thing.
Yeah.
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 And I also love the way you said that it's given you the ability to know that, like I'll say it this way. There are a lot of moms I know. I mean, I deal with this too, where you're like, oh my gosh, there's these big passion projects and goals that I want to hit, but then I've got children that still need me.
Yeah.
Am I taking away from them to go pursue this, or taking time? I'm not going anywhere, but am I taking time away from them that I should still be spending with them? And it's like we're getting this full glimpse of, or, small glimpses of, there doesn't need to be any guilt. Like, it's all working in harmony. It's actually all part of the plan, and
and I think there is as moms, I think we already deal with guilt, regardless if we're going to run a business or do whatever, anything.
We're never doing enough.
We're never doing enough. Even stepping away to go to dinner with your husband, there can be a level of guilt. Oh, I should have, I feel bad. I left my kids. So I think the idea for me, the Lord has shown me is, Beth, there can be a beauty. It doesn't have to be a tension. There can be a beauty in it. And I think timing's a big thing too. Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to do this when they were babies. That would not have been, I don't think I had the capacity or the strength or the energy to do it when they were babies. So I think timing's a big thing. So moms,
for reference, you had 3 in 3 years.
I had 4 in 3 years.
I'm sorry, 4 in 3 years.
Yeah.
1 through adoption.
Yeah.
With a very open adoption scenario. There's a lot.
Yeah, that's a whole, that we could do a podcast on
The
that
whole
one day.
podcast on that. Talk about open hands. God, what will you have for me in this season?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A lot.
A lot.
Yes. Yeah, that is a whole nother journey. But
Yeah.
I do think as moms, we deal with that on the daily. And so I think for moms of littles, if you're like, I don't have the capacity to chase those dreams, that's okay too, because maybe that's not the time. Right. And that's okay to be fully immersed into those littles and enjoy that season, because it will come to an end. And then before you know it, your days are freed up. They're more independent. They're not, it's still, hey mom. I hear that how many times a day? Hey mom. Yeah. But it changes, and it's different. It's, hey mom, where's this? Go find it. Right. It's not, hey mom, I need this and you have to go get it. Yeah. There's a difference.
I need you to keep me alive today, mom.
Yeah, I know. So I think, don't hear, I do think about that. I think moms see other moms that are in a different season and think, why can't I do that? Well, take note of the seasons, because seasons change, and be patient and enjoy the season you're in, because the next season may bring something totally different, and so this is our season for that. And I think it's still not, I'm not just away from my kids every day. I'm still figuring out ways to bring them into it and to make it work like a beautiful puzzle together, but it's not, I don't know, it's not separate. There's a beautiful beauty in bringing them together. The fact of raising my kids, but also finding my purpose. And it's been really beautiful that I always thought that would come once they left. I thought they would leave, then I'd be depressed and sad and I have nothing to do. Then I'd find my purpose. It's been such a gift that the Lord has unfolded that in a season where I still have them. I'm still enjoying them. I'm still involved. Oh, but mom also is going to work for a little bit, and not feeling guilty about that, because I was there and I was, and I was present. I did do it all. And now I'm going to do this, and that's okay too. So timing, beauty, tension, like all of it, you just have to give it up to the Lord and say, you're in the midst of it. I'm going to trust you in the seasons, and this is the season for me to be able to step back a little bit, as they are stepping further away from me. That's really what it is. That distance between them and me is growing, not in a bad way, in a beautiful way. They're stepping further into the world. But with that leaves more time and space for me. Yeah. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to kind of walk us through. I feel like you are this great, amazing living example of God equips the called, and he doesn't call the qualified. I'm not saying that right, but
Yeah.
You have a nickname for yourself. I've
do.
not given it to you.
I do.
Just in different seasons of life where you're like, and you mentioned this earlier of like, God, I'm not the girl for that.
Yeah.
And so kind of talk us through how God has reminded you that you are qualified.
Yeah, well, and there's been several seasons in my life where the Lord has asked me to do things, and a lot of them, but there's really three that I think of that are like pivotal moments for me. One was adoption, like we mentioned, which adopting was never, ever, being a mom and adopting, that wasn't like, I don't want to go that way, Lord. I don't want to have my first baby be through. It was never that. However the Lord was going to bring me a baby was going to be fine for me. I was so thankful for the opportunity to be a mom. I had journeyed really difficulty till that moment. So when Jaden's birth happened and that was through adoption, fabulous. But the open adoption was where I thought, I'm not called or qualified for this, Lord, to raise a baby and to experience open adoption where I'm sharing my love for my baby, who is purely, I feel like, is all mine, whether he was birthed from me or from my heart. He was truly 100% mine, but sharing him with another mother. And we did do that. And that was a journey. It was a season for me to find rest in who God had called me to be and know that I was fully Jaden's mom, but that I could also share the role. So that was the first. The second was when the kids had started public school. Jaden and Tyler are only 20 weeks apart. And we had just put them in public school, and I was struggling with it. We had gotten about 3 years into we did kindergarten first, and then it was into first grade, that I was like, my heart was stirring. I had two kids who were struggling for different reasons. And the educational system was not meeting their needs. And the options were limited of what we could do. We couldn't afford a private school. And I did not like the public school that we were in at the time. So I remember praying a lot. And I never went to college, and myself personally struggled all through school. I mean, I struggled from early on, and I had learning disabilities that were marked as my parents did testing on me. So school was always difficult. So I remember when the Lord was pressing upon me to homeschool, I kept going back to him and saying, there is no way. I can't even spell, much less do math problems. How am I going to homeschool and be qualified to do that? And the Lord just kept pressing on my heart, you need to homeschool. And I remember going to Kevin, who is brilliant, does not struggle with school, all made taught class. Like we were so completely opposite, and education was very important to him. And I remember when I went to him and said, I feel like we're supposed to homeschool. And he didn't have a hesitation. Mm-hmm. He was like, I think you're right, because he saw the struggles too. And so I went out in faith, and I can remember the prayer I prayed the night that we pulled our kids from school. I remember I was literally bawling, and I said, Lord, it's like I'm in an operating room. I'm in an operating room, and you are asking me to perform surgery on my kids, and I am not qualified to be a surgeon. And the Lord just was like, do you not think that I am the surgeon? Do you not think that I can prepare and help you and fulfill those gaps that you feel like you have? And that moment was such a life-changing moment for me, because I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to step out and I'm going to show up at the table with these tools that I feel so unqualified for. But you know what he did? He brought people into my life that said, I am qualified. I am able. I can do. So every gap that I had, the Lord always had somebody else to come in. I mean, you and I have shared this journey and story so much, but when we started our homeschool journey together, really, and we didn't know it.
Yeah. And I think it's how
it was how we met.
It was like, hey, you both are starting homeschooling. Good luck. You might want to get each other's number in case you need to talk each other off the cliff. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that was kind of like how the mutual friend connected us, because we're like, yeah, we're going to homeschool, and we've got 4 kids.
I just remember we went out on that journey, and for the first year, we just hung out together, and you were doing CC and I was not. I was doing it on my own pretty much. And you kept saying to me, Beth, you need to come to CC. You need to come to CC. And I was like,
For the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I classical education was never on my radar because for me, again, I was unqualified. There was no way I could do that. And I just remember you were just so sweet and kind, and you were never pressure. It was never like, what are you? It was always just, hey, this is an option. We're loving it. It's been amazing. You should try it.
Well, I think selfishly, I was like, and I'll get to see you every week if you come.
Our kids can be together.
Because right now we're meeting at puddles to splash in and calling it science. I think it's kind of where we're at in our season.
It's so
if you want to go.
We should try to find
a
the
little
picture
lake
and put it with this whenever
Yeah.
because there's a picture of our kids by the lake on golf carts, and they were itty bitty,
Yeah.
or down by
They
the
were like
you know.
finding tadpoles
Yes.
and all this, and we looked at each other and we're like, this counts. Check it off. That's science today. We are crushing the whole game.
So we did the next year. We went, and that was the game changer for us. And we ended up staying all the way until the very end. For us, we pivoted towards middle school, but we stayed all the way through the end. And that was where God brought and I could list out names, but that's where God brought people I was not qualified and he was qualified. They were qualified, and he used them to help educate my kids. And it's like the puzzle came together for me to be like, oh my gosh, I don't need to do this. There are resources and people out there. So whenever I hear mamas of littles say, I want to homeschool, but I'm not capable, I'm like, oh, but all you have to do is show up and be willing. And I still got to just be the mama. I mean, we still did homeschool, but I realized how much of the education could be on other people. I didn't have to show up for the things I didn't know. So that was amazing. And then the third was Whimsy, which has been, starting a business. There's no way. I didn't go to business school. I didn't do education. I didn't look up things. I didn't research. I remember, you saying, do you want a podcast? I'm like,
I was like, oh, you're starting this. I'm so excited for you. Like, how can I get behind you in this? Like, where do I order them? Because you're like, I'll give you a free pair. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You can't do that.
I was like, sure, everybody can have a pair.
Don't give out free stuff. It's valuable. Like, let me buy it, but just send me the link.
Yeah.
And then I was like, can I send you some downloadables, a podcast or two? It's been really helpful for me. Because again, going back to what we started with, my personality was like, you're just going to watch and see where things land? Like, is that what people do? And then I watch you go. I'm going to cast my bread upon the water. I remember you saying that. And I was like, do you not want to see where the tide's going to bring it in? And now I see you, and I've been watching. And honestly, we talk all the time. So like 2 years in, I'm like, oh, God is literally.
He can use anyone. And
Yes.
I think it's a heart. It's a willingness. And you don't have to look like everyone else. And it doesn't have to be like everybody else, and it doesn't have to build like everybody else for you to have something successful. And I think that's the beauty in business is you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. I didn't have any ducks in a row.
Ducks never good.
I use that a phrase anyway, because no duck is ever in a row. When have you ever seen that? But anyway, I just am like, I think it's so encouraging for me this year to just see, or in the last 2 years, to see God just say, you don't, but I do, and watch me. And he's again and again brought resources in that we were like, oh, that was helpful, that we weren't even looking for, that Jamie and I've just stumbled upon, and we're like, oh, that was helpful. Thank you but we didn't seek it out. And that was just not our personality. And you don't have to be that way for God to be successful, or for God to give you a successful business, Yeah. So,
and don't you think he just continues to reveal like more and more, the more you step
Constant.
forward, he's like, okay, now you're ready. You stewarded that well. So now let me give you a
little bit
wider
more.
lens.
Yeah. And sometimes it can look like it's not. I mean, we're still in that journey where you think, is it going to work? Are we going to be able to get our next product? Are we going to be able to continue this? Now it's successful, Lord. And are we going to be able to get our next shipment in to be able to continue to sell them? I don't know. And so we're just, every day it's an open-handed. We're going to show up. We're going to do what you've called us to do. But we're also not going to push it or force it, because we realize that doesn't work anyway. So we're going to just show up faithful with what you've given us. And we're going to trust you, because you ultimately are going to be the one. It goes right back to where we started. He will grow it. And it's the same with every part of my life. He will grow it. He will do it. He will provide. You just have to be faithful in it. And that's what every day I just show up and I'm like, okay, today is a new day. Here it is, Lord. I'm going to open-handed. Yeah. Some days I'm closed-handed and he has to pry. Yeah. I think that just is a part of the journey that you have moments where you're like, have I not learned?
I know.
You know, but yeah. I think that's where the relationship of the Lord comes in, where he says, no, but I'm still here. Yeah, I'm not going, you know, we'll try again.
And I'm going to wait for you to remember to open it. And I'm here.
I'm here. Yeah. So it's good.
I love it. Oh, so good. We could talk. We need to put a pin in so many things to come back to for another one.
I know.
Thank you so much for sharing all that.
Thanks for having us.
I asked you some questions that I didn't know how much you wanted to share, and I really appreciate all that. And
I don't think I knew some of the answers.
I know. It's so good. That's when you know it's real.
Yeah. It's like the Lord just, you know, you talk and you're like, oh, that is, you know, it's cool.
That makes sense. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And thank you to everybody who's been listening. We have certainly enjoyed sharing with y'all today, of course. And, you know, like Beth said, go into today with open hands. Yeah. Trust that God's going to show up big. And you are more qualified than you think because of who has got your back. So as always, keep your big ideas coming, and we will see you on the next episode. Hey friends, thanks so much for tuning in today. Before you go, it would mean the world to me and my family if you would share this episode with at least one person who you think might benefit from this message. And of course, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. You can also follow me at Ashlee Ilg on Instagram to keep up with our adventures and for continued encouragement as you pursue your big ideas. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time.